So can we start the quiz? Fine, Dad. Who is coming? Today is Wednesday. Can we start the quiz if everyone is ready? Type yes if you want to start the quiz. So let's start. So Banjara's community during medieval period of the Indian history were generally, they were what, agriculturalists, weavers, warriors or traders. So today also we have Banjara community living in Indian continent. So at that time, at the medieval time period, they were actually traders. The Banjara community were traders. Who of the following had first deciphered the edicts of the Emperor Ashoka? The Emperor Ashoka, who wrote edicts on the stone pillars and all. So who was the first scholar to decipher it? So of course is James Prinsep. That is a very easy question. So how did, this is a very interesting question. How did Sultan Qutbuddin Aibak died? So he actually died while playing polo. He fall from his horse and he died. So he was playing polo at that time. So he died while playing polo. And at that time polo was known as Chogan. So as we have already discussed, in which of the following cities is the Lingaraja temple located? So it's in Bhubaneswar. So the Lingaraja temple, the very famous temple, is located in Bhubaneswar. Dedicated to Lord Shiva. The first writer to use Urdu as a medium of poetic expression was, so he was the first writer, who used Urdu for the first time in his poetic language. It was of course Amir Khusro. So there, there's a port in India. During the medieval time period, it was called as Babul Makkah or Gate of Makkah. So is there in Surat. So this port was there in Surat. So during the medieval times, it was called as Makkah, the Gate of Makkah. I'll start from the first. So, do we know the concept of Pradhan during the time of Shivaji? So, they were all ministers. Um, so, there were different Pradhan related to some related to home ministry, some related to financial affairs and all. So, such type of ministers were called Pradhan. And the one the Pradhan who looked after the foreign affairs, they were called Sumant during the time of Maharaj, Shivaji Maharaj. So we have already read about Ashoka's stone pillars. Initially he used the stone pillars. He erected the stone pillars to express, to tell the people about his own glory, about his victory. But afterwards, when he accepted Buddhism and Dhamma, he used the pillars to spread Dhamma, the moral values of the philosophy of the Buddha and the moral values of the Dhamma. So now moving towards the early Vedic period. So in the early Vedic period, no as such idol worship did not exist. What people did was to worship the nature and perform yajnas. So there was no concept of idol worship during the early Vedic period. So who led the foundation of the Rashtrakuta Empire, a very important empire that came after the post-modern period? So it was Dante Durga, of course. The name of the king was Dante Durga. But he came to the, I don't know. So according to Ashoka's edict, social harmony among the people were more important than religious devotion. Assertion and reason he spread the ideas of equity instead of promotion of the religion. Yes. So which of the following places are Lothal, ancient dockyard बोल सकते हैं. Sarnath, first summon of Buddha. So first summon of Buddha, yes. Rajgir, lion capital of Ashoka. Nalanda, great seat of Buddhist learning, of course. Lothal is correct. Rajgir, lion capital of Ashoka is not wrong. Yes. Yes. Question number 36. Let's start. Ashoka edicts 36 नहीं और 37. The land capital of Ashoka is in Sarnath, not Rajgir. Okay, Sarnath below, yes. Land capital, yes. Sarnath below. So Lothal is the ancient dockyard. Sarnath, of course, first Samana Buddha. Rajgir, lion is in Sarnath, lion capital of Ashoka. Nalanda, the great seat of Buddhist learning. Of course, this is correct. This is wrong. Okay. Which of the following ancient Indian records is the earliest royal order to preserve food grains to be utilized during the crisis of the country? Of course, it's Soagura copper plate. Soagura copper plate by Chandragupta Maurya. So he only wrote about the famine that was suffered during the Mauryan period. So other option room in the pillar edict of Ashoka, no, not before that only because there was famine before during the time of Chandragupta Maurya as well. Prayag Prasasthi, no, it was mainly appreciation of the king, so not this one. Mehruli pillar, no. Mehruli pillar inscription, no. The concept of eightfold paths forms a theme of eightfold paths. Of course, is Dharma Chakra Parivartana Sutta, not Dipa Vamsa. Dipa Vamsa is a Buddhist text. It's a Mahanaya Buddhist text. Vidyavandana is also a text. It's a Buddhist text only. Vidyavandana is a Sanskrit text, and Mahaparinirvana is the death of the Buddha. It's not related to Mahaparinirvana. It's talking about the eightfold paths. So it's Dharma Chakra Parivartana Sutta. And Buddha had attained enlightenment, right? The given maps, okay, it's okay. The given maps related to Kanishka at the time of his death. Samudragupta after the close of his South Indian campaign. Okay. Yes, Ashoka is related to Ashoka because he almost took control of whole the Indian subcontinent during close to Ashoka towards close of his reign. So he almost took control of all the Indian continent. No, not Thaneshwar. He never controlled the whole of the Indian subcontinent. So from the 3rd century AD, when the Hunas, invasion ended the Roman Empire, the Indian merchants relied more and more on the Southeastern Asian trade. So the trade broke at that time. The West Asian trade was not happening, and so they relied more over the Southeastern Asian trade, right? The following person, oh my god, fine question. The following person came to India at one time or another. Yes. So the correct chronological sequence of the visit. So the foreigners visit to Indian subcontinent during the rule of the different empires. So the first one was of course Megasthenes. Then came the Farhand, and then came the Huinseng, and IT Singh was the last one to come. Yes. Yes. First the Megasthenes, Farhand, Huinseng, and then IT Singh. Which of the following was initially the most powerful city of the India in the 6th century BC? So 6th century BC around. Of course, we all know not Gandhar, not Kashi, it's Magadh. If the option is the Magadh, it will be Magadh. in the 6th century, that is the later Vedic period time. The Indo-Laws kingdom set up in the north of Afghanistan. That was primarily known as the Hindu Kush kingdom, ruled by the Hindu ruler in Afghanistan. North Africa in the beginning was again, so it was of bacteria. Yes. The term Aryan. So Aryans, it does not denote an ethnic. Aryan is not an ethnic race. It's not a nomadic. It's a linguistic race. It's a speech. Sorry, not race. It's not a race. It's not an ethnic group. It's a linguistic group. So because these Aryans were the people who spoke different type of languages, and one group of Aryans, they spoke Sanskrit language, and that's the group who dominated the Indian subcontinent. So there were different types of language spoke by the Aryans, but one group of them spoke Sanskrit language. Which one of the following posts handled the North Indian trade during the Gupta period? So North India trade during the Gupta period. Broch, Kalyan is in South, Cambrai नहीं हो सकता. It's Tamralipitte, of course. It's the port is a Tamralipitte. The Aham and the Puram poems, this were related to the Sangam period. Okay. Aham is the subjective and Puram was the objective poem. So the Aham and the Puram poems of the Pandinen Kilukanaku group formed a continuation of the Sangam composition, of course. They were included in the post-Sangam works as against the Sangam works proper. Yes, it's true. The emphasis of assertion and reason, the emphasis of Jainism. Now we're moving towards Jainism. The emphasis of Jainism on non-violence, that is ahimsa, prevented agriculturists from embracing Jainism. Right. Reason being, cultivation involved killing of insects and pests, of course. So Jainism, they are not involved in even the non-violence of minute creatures as well. So that's prevented the agriculturalist from embracing Jainism. The origin of the feudal system in ancient India can be traced to military campaigns. It's before that as well. So there was considerable expansion of the feudal system in the Gupta period. So considerable expansion of the feudal system was expanded from the later Vedic period only. It's not only from the Gupta period it started. Ashoka annexed Kalinga to the Mauryan Empire. Okay. Kalinga controlled the land. Yes, the reason why Ashoka annexed Kalinga was that it was important. Kalinga was an important port. He wants to control the trade through Kalinga, the eastern trade, and that's why he invaded Kalinga, or what we call as annexed Kalinga. And sea routes to South India, yes, and as well as trade. The practice of military governorship was first introduced in India by the Greeks, of course. It's very, military governorship. Which of the following dynasties was ruling over North India at the time of Alexander invasion? Of course, it was Nanda dynasty. Everyone knew that Alexander came during the time of the Nanda dynasty. That preceded the Mauryan dynasty. Okay, Hoysala monuments are found in Halibid below. So Hoysala, we know about the Hoysala kingdom in south. Okay, so which of the following pairs is correctly matched? So, okay, the Harappan civilization painted graveware. No, Harappan civilization was not painted graveware. It was in early Vedic period that painted graveware started. Kushana's Gandhara, of course. Kushana's little Gandhara school of art in the northern part of the Indian subcontinent. The Mughals Ajanta painting, of course not. How is it possible? Ajanta painting is related to Buddhism. The Marathas Pahari school of painting. No, Pahari school of painting was inspired by the Mughal, Mughal type of painting. not the Marathas. Okay, another question. Harshvatna convened the Prague assembly. Yes, it was Harshvatna who convened the Prague assembly. He wanted to popularize only the Mahayana. Of course, not only the Mahayana form. He wanted to popularize Mahayana, not only Mahayana. I want to popularize Buddhism, not only Mahayana Buddhism. Which one of the Chola kings conquered Ceylon? We all know Rajendra. Rajendra is very important. Sri Lanka. Who among the following presided about the Buddhist council held during the reign of the Kanishka? This was Vasumitra. Yes. So during the time of the Kanishka, Buddhist council was held in Kashmir and it was presided by Vasumitra. Which one of the following animals was not represented in seals and the terracotta art of the Harappan culture? In the seals, in which they used to write different things, and that was the cow, of course. So rhinoceros was there, elephant was there, tiger was there, whatever they saw around, it was cow. And the reason being the agricultural activities at that period of time did not start to such a large extent as it started during after the discovery of the iron during the later Vedic period. Okay, match list one ancient one and the list archaeological of finding and select the correct answer using the codes given. Okay, so Lothal, we know Lothal is a port, it's a dockyard port of the Indus Valley civilization in Gujarat. So what all was founded at these sites? Which on the following, Gomteshwara statue that the Bahubali festival, that is held in Karnataka every year, is related to Jainism. And there is a huge Gomteshwara statue that's erected during the time of the Bahubali festival of the Jainism. So Gomteshwara was not a Jain monk, but he was a son of a Jain monk, and that's why he was worshipped. He is worshipped till today. At the Shravan Melola represent the last. No, it's the wrong answer. Okay, now very interesting question. In the ancient Indian Buddhist monasteries, a ceremony called Pavarna, Pavarna was held. So Pavarna means the Buddhists, they used to confess their crimes and the secrets of whatever bad deeds or wrong deeds they have done during this ceremony, when the ceremony was held in viharas. So they used to stay in viharas, and when this Pavarna ritual used to happen, they used to confess their crimes and their wrong deeds to each other. The ancient play Mudrakshaka of the Vishakhadatta, yes, has its subject on the court and tricks at the time of, yes, it talks about the court and tricks at the time of the Chandragupta. Emperor Harsha's southward march was stopped on the Narmada river. By whom? So who stopped Emperor Harsha? Harshvardhana kingdom, we all know the Chalukyas and all. So Emperor Harsha's southward march was stopped on the Narmada river by the Pulkeshin II. Then after Harshvardhan converted into Buddhism. Stopped by the Chalukyas, that was Pulakeshin too. Pulakeshin too. Okay. Consider the following statement: the Cholas defeated, of course, Cholas have defeated the Pandya and the Cheras ruler. Nothing wrong or about it. The Cholas defeated Pandya and the Chera rulers and established a domination over peninsular India in the early medieval times. Yes. The Cholas, yes, they also tried to capture or annex the Malaysian region, the Southeast Asian region. The Cholas sent an expedition against Salendra Empire of the Southeast Asia and conquered some of the areas. Yes. Brikshakatika, that's written by Shudraka. So it's a very significant literary text which is written by Shudraka. It talks about of the love affairs of a rich merchant with the daughter of the god Kotsen. So these are the books, the literary text that was written during the Gupta period when literature was gaining prominence. Sorry, 12. More 4 minutes left. Okay. 6 minutes. Consider the following statements. Vardhaman Mahavira, mother was the daughter of the Lichvis. So Vardhaman Mahavira's mother was the daughter of the Lichvi chief Jataka. She was not a daughter, she was a sister. So actually, Gautama Buddha mother was a princess from the Koshala dynasty. Yes, she was a princess from the Koshala dynasty. Parshvanatha, the 23rd, yeah, Parshvanath, yes. Parshvanath, the 23rd Tirthankara, belonged to Banaras. This is an important question, you know. So he belonged to Banaras, yes. So consider the following statement: last modern ruler Brihadatha was assassinated by his commander-in-chief Pushyamitra Sunga. Bilkul sahi. So because they used to patronize Buddhism, and Pushyamitra Sunga was more inclined towards Hinduism. So this created a rift between them, and that's why he assassinated the last Mauryan king. The last Sunga king Devabhuti was assassinated. That's the Pushyamitra. Now it's a Sunga dynasty. We moved towards Sunga dynasty after the Mauryan period. The last Sunga king Devabhuti was assassinated by the Brahmana minister Vasudev Kanva, who usurped the throne. So this was primarily a political motive to usurp the throne, nothing related to culture or religious matter. The last ruler of the Kanva dynasty was deposed by the Andhras. Yes, Kanva dynasty, Sunga dynasty, all the dynasties that came after the post-modern period. Consider the following statements. Okay, the Chinese pilgrimage Fahen attended the fourth great Buddhist council. No, this is the wrong statement. Not of Kanishka. The Chinese Huinseng met her. No, so the Chinese pilgrim Huinseng was not able to meet Harsha because Harsha died before he came, and found him to be no. Harsha used to support Buddhism. He was never antagonistic towards Buddhism. With reference to ancient Jainism, okay, which of the following? Okay, Jainism was spread in South India under the leadership of Sthalbhau. No, it was not under the leadership of Sthalbhau. It was a very important, prominent monk of South India, Jain monk. I just forgot the name. Okay, so it was Bhadrabhau, right? So it was Bhadrabhau. The Jainas who remained under the leadership of Bhadrabhau were called Svetambrams after the council, and no, they were called Digambaras. You know, who stays naked. They discard clothes as well. Jainism enjoyed the patronage of Kalinga king Kharvela in the first era. This is of course right. Kharvela, he was against Buddhism, so he patronized Jainism. Which of the following four Vedas, okay, contains an account of magical charms? Of course, we all know that Atharvaveda. It has magical charms and spells, to cure a certain disease and all. Who among the following was not a contemporary of the other three? So Bimbisara, Gautam. At the time of Bimbisara, Gautam Buddha was there. Prasenjit was also there. Milinda was not there. So this guy came after later Vedic period. So he annexed the Indian subcontinent. The Greeks after later Vedic period. He also wrote Milind Panu, after coming in contact with the Buddhist monk, and that's how he accepted Buddhism. Who among the following laid the foundation of the Rajputa? Of course, the foundation is of course Dandidurga. So this is the name of the king who led the foundation of the Rajputa empire or dynasty. Between which of the following was the ancient town of Takshila located? So this is the reverse name that's given. Ravi will not be there because it was primarily in Afghanistan region. Today is Afghanistan region. Indus Jhelum jail. So it's Indus and Jhelum only. Jhelum and Chenab. Ravi will not be there. Ravi, no. It's Jhelum and Chenab. With reference to the invaders in the ancient India, which one of the following is correct? So it's already okay. More 3 minutes to go. So with reference to the invaders in the ancient, which of the following is correct chronological order? Greeks, Sakas, Kushanas. Of course, Greeks came before Sakas. So it's Greeks, Sagas, Kusanas, of course. Not Greeks, Kushanas. No, not possible. No, not Sagas. Shakas, I think it's great for me. So the Ikshvaku rulers of the southern were antagonistic towards Buddhism. No, they were not as such antagonistic towards Buddhism. They patronized Buddhism. So most of the rulers, they patronized Buddhism. The Pala rulers of the eastern India were patrons of Buddhism. Yes. So the Pala rulers, of course, were the patrons of the Buddhism. Okay, the Allahabad pillar inscription was the most important inscription. The Allahabad pillar inscription associated with which one of the following? So it was Samudragupta who wrote Allahabad pillar inscription. He talked about religion, morality, and annexation of different kingdom. He talked about that I have conquered, almost all the kingdoms and all. So it was primarily an appreciation of the king. That in the inscription what was written is. It was a Prayag Prasasti. Prayag Prasasti is like appreciation of the king. They used to write in the inscription and all. So Anekantavada is a core theory and philosophy which is Jainism philosophy. How many minutes are left? 1 minute. The Jain philosophy holds that the world is created and maintained by universal no, universal truth no. It's universal soul. They talked about the soul, the idea of the soul. Regarding the Indus Valley civilization concern, okay. It was predominantly a secular civilization, yes, of course. And the religious element, though present, did not dominate the scene. This was the context of the Indus Valley civilization. It did not have the idea of the king. The merchants used to rule in different sectors and did not actually had the idea of the king. Yeah, have. It's not had, actually have. During this period, cotton was used for manufacturing textiles. So they already started the manufacturing with cotton. Time. So it's already 12 now. I'm done with my series. Thank you so much. Those are watching can like, share, and subscribe.